This is part 2 of my video about GTA protagonists that can and can't survive Yakuza world. Now let's continue. Tony Cipriani. Now here's someone a lot of people probably forgot about. But Tony Cipriani from Liberty City Stories might actually be the most naturally suited for Yakuza life out of everyone we've talked about. This dude is literally built for this type of environment, and honestly, he'd probably feel right at home in a traditional crime family structure. First off, Tony already comes from that old-school Italian-American organized crime background, which shares a lot of similarities with Yakuza culture when it comes to respect, hierarchy, and family loyalty. He understands the importance of showing proper deference to his superiors, following the chain of command, and conducting business with a certain level of honor and tradition. When Salvatore Leone tells him to do something, Tony doesn't question it or try to negotiate. He just gets it done. That kind of unquestioning loyalty and respect for authority would translate perfectly to Yakuza culture. Unlike a lot of other GTA protagonists who are either loose cannons or too self-centered, Tony actually understands that being part of an organization means putting the family's interests above your own personal desires. He's not trying to build his own empire or constantly scheming to take over. He's genuinely content being a loyal soldier who works his way up through merit and service. That kind of selfless dedication is exactly what Yakuza bosses look for in their most trusted lieutenants. The man also has this perfect balance of being capable of extreme violence when necessary, but also knowing when to use diplomacy and restraint. Plus, his experience dealing with his overbearing mother shows he has the patience to navigate complex family dynamics and personal relationships without losing his cool, which would be incredibly valuable in the politically charged world of Yakuza families. Honestly, Tony would probably start as a regular member and work his way up to become a respected underboss within a few years. He's got all the qualities that traditional organized crime values: loyalty, competence, respect for tradition, and the ability to handle both the violent and business sides of the operation. Vic Vance is another protagonist who would absolutely make it in the Yakuza world, and honestly, he might be even more suited for it than some of the more obvious choices. Vic brings this unique combination of military discipline and genuine moral compass that would make him incredibly valuable in an organization that still cares about honor and doing business the right way. The military background is huge here because Vic already understands how to function within a strict hierarchy and chain of command. He knows how to take orders, follow protocol, and work as part of a larger unit toward common objectives. But unlike some other military characters, Vic also has this strong sense of personal ethics that would actually align pretty well with traditional Yakuza values. He's not just blindly following orders. He genuinely believes in doing things with honor and protecting the people he cares about. That kind of principled approach to crime would earn him serious respect from Yakuza bosses who still value the old ways of conducting business. That selfless dedication to family would resonate incredibly well in Yakuza culture, where family loyalty is literally the foundation of everything. Vic would be seen as someone who understands what really matters in life, and is willing to sacrifice his own safety and moral comfort for the people he loves. Throughout Vice City Stories, we see him successfully managing complex operations, building alliances with different factions, and gradually expanding his territory through smart planning rather than just brute force. He's also incredibly reliable. When Vic says he's going to do something, it gets done. That combination of strategic thinking, reliability, and genuine honor would make him perfect for handling the business side of Yakuza operations, while also being trusted with sensitive family matters. The fact that he's not overly ambitious or power-hungry would also work in his favor. Vic isn't trying to take over the world. He just wants to make enough money to secure his family's future, and then probably get out. That kind of realistic, limited ambition would make him much less threatening to established power structures, while still being incredibly useful to the organization. Johnny Klebitz from The Lost and Damned is getting a hard no from me. And honestly, this one's pretty painful. Because you can see glimpses of what could have been a decent Yakuza member buried under all his problems. Sure, Johnny understands brotherhood and loyalty from his biker background. But those positives get completely overshadowed by his massive personal issues that would make him a liability no crime family could afford to keep around. The biggest red flag is obviously his drug addiction. By the time we see Johnny in his DLC, dude is already struggling with substance abuse, and it only gets worse from there. The Yakuza might be involved in drug trafficking as a business, but they absolutely do not tolerate their own members being unreliable junkies. There's no way you can trust someone with important family business when they're constantly high or going through withdrawal. Johnny's also got this whole defeatist attitude that would be toxic in a Yakuza environment. Throughout his story, we see him constantly struggling with depression, self-doubt, and this general sense that everything's falling apart around him. While some of that might be understandable given his circumstances, the Yakuza culture emphasizes strength, honor, and maintaining face, even in difficult situations. Johnny's tendency to spiral into despair and make increasingly poor decisions would be seen as weakness that could spread to other members. The Brotherhood experience might seem like it would translate well, but here's the thing. Johnny couldn't even keep his own biker club together. The Lost MC fell apart under his leadership, and a lot of that came down to his inability to make tough decisions and maintain discipline within the ranks. If you can't manage a relatively small biker gang, how are you going to function in a massive hierarchical criminal organization where one mistake can get everyone killed? By the time we see him in GTA 5, Johnny's basically a shell of his former self, completely strung out, paranoid, and living in squalor. That trajectory from semi-competent leader to total burnout would be exactly what Yakuza bosses would want to avoid in their organization. They'd probably see Johnny as a cautionary tale, rather than potential recruitment material. Luis Lopez, from the Ballad of Gay Tony, is another tricky one, because on the surface, he seems like he'd be perfect for organized crime. Dude's loyal, competent, handles himself well in tough situations, and genuinely cares about the people in his life. But here's the thing. Luis is built for the flashy, party lifestyle type of crime, not the traditional honor-bound world of the Yakuza, and that difference would probably get him in serious trouble. Luis thrives in that whole nightclub scene where everything's about appearances, connections, and living fast. He's great at navigating the world of celebrities, corrupt politicians, and wealthy criminals who treat crime like it's just another form of entertainment. But the Yakuza world operates on completely different principles. It's about tradition, respect, discipline, and long-term thinking. The biggest problem is that Luis has gotten way too comfortable with the high-profile lifestyle. Throughout the Ballad of Gay Tony, we see him constantly getting involved in situations that put him in the spotlight, dealing with celebrities, getting caught up in media scandals, attracting police attention. That kind of visibility would be absolutely toxic to a Yakuza family that needs to maintain legitimate business fronts and keep their criminal activities separate from public attention. Luis's tendency to get mixed up in dramatic public situations would make him a constant liability. Plus, while Luis is definitely loyal to Tony and his crew, his loyalty is more personal and emotional, rather than based on respect for hierarchy and tradition. He follows Tony because he genuinely likes and trusts him, not because he understands his place in a larger organizational structure. In the Yakuza world, you need to show proper respect to people you might not even like, just because of their position in the family. Luis's more casual, friendship-based approach to criminal relationships would probably come across as disrespectful to traditional Yakuza bosses, who expect formal deference, regardless of personal feelings. He'd probably last a few months before either getting himself killed by being too casual with the wrong person or getting the entire family unwanted attention from law enforcement. Huang Lee from GTA Chinatown Wars might actually be one of the most underrated choices for Yakuza success. And honestly, he brings some unique advantages that most other GTA protagonists just don't have. This dude comes from an already established crime family background, understands Asian organized crime culture, and has exactly the kind of mindset that would translate perfectly to the Yakuza world. The biggest advantage Huang has is that he already gets the whole concept of honor, respect, and family duty that's so central to Yakuza culture. Coming from a triad background, he understands that your actions reflect on your entire family's reputation, not just your own. Throughout Chinatown Wars, we see him constantly trying to restore his family's honor after his father's murder and prove that he's worthy of carrying on the family name. That kind of deep respect for family legacy and reputation would make him incredibly valuable to a Yakuza organization that operates on similar principles. The guy's not just muscle. He's actually pretty sophisticated when it comes to understanding how modern organized crime works. He knows about drug trafficking, money laundering, territorial disputes, and all the complex relationships between different criminal organizations. Plus, his experience dealing with corrupt cops, rival gangs, and legitimate businesses would translate directly to the kind of multi-layered operations that modern Yakuza families run. Huang also has this perfect balance of being respectful to authority, while still being capable of independent thinking and leadership when necessary. He follows orders from his uncle and other family leaders, but he's also smart enough to adapt when situations change or when he needs to take initiative. That kind of flexible loyalty, where you respect the hierarchy but can also think strategically, is exactly what Yakuza bosses want in their rising stars. The fact that he's already familiar with Asian criminal customs and etiquette would give him a massive head start over other GTA protagonists. He wouldn't need to learn how to show proper respect, understand face saving, or navigate the complex social dynamics that trip up most Western criminals who try to work with Asian organized crime. Huang would probably integrate into a Yakuza family faster and more smoothly than almost anyone else on this list, and his combination of traditional respect with modern criminal knowledge would make him incredibly valuable for both old-school and new-school operations. We are done. Finally, all protagonists done. What do you about this video? Who would be perfect fit for Yakuza Games World? Let me know in the comments and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.